What's up, you scroob? YouTube land. What's going on? Just playing around with the lives. Did one earlier, and show you what I got here. So, got a Maple Festival coming up, and I want to do a theme piece for that. And I did a live of this, but in that live stream, I kind of had a choking and coughing fit, and it went on into other not so fun things. I never got my tonsils out, so I have a hole back there, and sawdust gets trapped in there, and I get a lot of sinus infections, and so may do another maple leaf bear. It's kind of getting late. I want to work on my rooster a little bit. Not really sure exactly what I'm going to do, but just having fun doing live streams and having fun carving for you guys, and getting some piles of inventory done. I still don't have a whole lot of inventory for the festival. You can see my table of saws, all my equipment, all my tools, and laid out there ready to go this time. It's kind of hard for me to do live stream and carve without having music. And if I use my other phone for live feed, then that phone doesn't get very good signal, or it jumps all over. It's a crappy phone. There's more inventory over there to be done. How's it going? Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I do. I definitely sell. That's why I don't ever have anything. It keeps the lights on, so to speak. It's not a full-time thing that I can do. It's hard to do it full-time because I don't. By the time you get through and make your sales, and there's so much involved, so many little steps, you're not making a whole ton of money at it in the end. I'm going to try wearing this thing over my face, hoping that I don't breathe in a bunch of sawdust. Now I look tough, right? So, yeah, I mean, the whole sales thing is usually I do sales. Only problem with wearing this now, these glasses fog up. I do sell, but it seems like I can never keep up on inventory. Seems like I'm either seems like I'm always out of inventory, and when I have enough inventory, I'm going to a sale, going to sell some stuff. Wow, masked up, ready to go. But it seems to me like when I do sell, it goes so quick. There's a little eyes on the little bear. And there's just so many tools, there's so much stuff to keep up on that I don't usually keep up on items inventories. So there I got 4 bears mostly done. You saw the one burnt and colored ready. The other one's ready. The one is done, ready for varnish. We're going to work on the rooster a little bit here and see where we go with that. Fumbling around. about you guys, but it is really hard to see with all this on. Alright, so I'm going to do the other side of the feathers here, just like so. I did these earlier. Pretty much what I'm doing. Pretty much what's going on. I do a lot of things. Let's see. I'm just kind of winding down after a long day. And there, yucky. There, the one reason I wore this, put this on, I'm already getting chunks of wood going inside, going right up my nose. So, I don't know how effective it's going to be or not. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a bummer. That one died out. Batteries, batteries, batteries. Seems like it changed more batteries. Alright, so here's a good one for you guys. Last night, well, yesterday, I did a live feed. Whittling down by the creek. I'm talking about how not to cut yourself, how to be careful and all that. And well, I had to strip some wires using a utility knife. So I had to strip some wires using a utility knife last night, working on the car, because I couldn't find my wire strippers. And I was just trying to open them up so that I could probe in, get into them with the tester, and stab myself right in the finger. Carving, I don't normally cut myself, even when I'm whittling. I don't normally cut myself with the knives. Normally what happens is if I'm doing something like mechanical work or something, then I might end up stabbing my finger or something. But this cut on my finger now has been bleeding since last night, and it will not stop. It doesn't hurt, but you get it dirty, you get oil and grease and dirt and sawdust and metal shavings. I was dang cameras. I was sharpening saws earlier, and got it kind of goobered up. I don't know what's. All right, are we good yet? I don't know why it keeps shutting off. And I'm just kind of clumsying around right now. I can't see a thing. Just playing around with the different things here. Another thing about this, it's hard to breathe. It gets kind of claustrophobic. It's usually why I don't wear one. And I'm just doing the simple feathers right now. These are the quicker ones. The crosshatch, it comes out to be a pretty nice looking pattern. In the end, that's kind of what it looks like. It's a look that it sells them, gets them out the door, and nobody ever says, "Hey, why don't you have those other feathers that you normally do?" So I don't worry about it. And I'll probably show you the other feather pattern that I'm talking about that I normally will do. And I see I'm getting a little bit of rough here, so that's why I flipped the saw. Hey, for all it's worth, this is nice because I'm not breathing in wood chips. So what's new, everybody? What's going on? Any other carvers out there? Or are you guys just viewing the... I don't know where my views are generated from. I don't know really how people get notified of what I'm doing. I usually seem to get a lot of random viewership, and people even tell me they don't even know why I got suggested, but they watched anyway. It's hard to breathe in this thing. So it's kind of makes a nice pattern, I think. I like that look. We'll finish the lower part here, and then we'll go up, do some work here. It's actually really hard for me to work in total silence with no music. I'm almost tempted to go get my other phone, which has some of my videos on it. I play my own music. I don't know if you guys know anything about my channel or not, but I do make my own music for my videos, which I enjoy doing. Another fun thing I like to do Oklahoma. Hey, anytime, William. What's on your mind right now? I'm here. We could start discussion. Maybe it's a good topic. Maybe it's things for me to show that I might have that might be something different. Might give you ideas. Thanks. I've been carving a long time, and I've been in and out of carving full time, like carving for a living. I've been in and out of that over the past, I'd say 20 years or more. I don't even know anymore. Kind of lost count. And I kind of just go with the flow anymore. What I think is gonna look okay. What's up, William? William from Oklahoma. Thanks for dropping in and saying hi. Any questions you guys got or whatever? There's actually a video. How long? I've probably been carving. Let's see. I started chainsaw carving. Like really getting into chainsaw carving. Back in 1996, so oh boy, almost 25 years, is that right? 30 years, in 96 to 20, there's 4, wow, almost 30 years, holy cow. But I was carving before that. I was doing, well, there's a video, hold on a second, be right back. There's a video that I put up that I did this summer, where I had this little project that a friend asked me to do for him. This is just a mock-up. This is what's left from that project. Looking for the other thing here. I don't know if I'm exactly going to find it or not. Trying to think. I just had that picture here and not finding it now. It's like it was a little character called a Brawl Star, and what I use, if you can go and watch. You can go and watch that video. It's on my channel. It's called the Brawl Stars Spike. Brawl Stars Spike was the character. And so I start out with a block. You know, the block that I used for the carving was thicker than this. But I have a projector. The drawing goes inside here. And it projects right onto the piece of wood. And the cleaner you get that piece of wood, the better it's going to look in the end. Like I said, this was just as I was mapping out. He's got arms and he's got feet, and I wanted to get that thing to look as close as possible to the pictures that my buddy gave me of the thing. So yeah, I do use reference. There's when I was ice carving professionally for years. We do that a lot when we're ice carving, because you start out with a block of, the ice is actually a square block, and you might want to make that block they start out at 10 inch by 20 inch by 40 inches tall. You might want to make that carving 5 or 6 feet wide. So the trick is to dissect that block into pieces and parts, and then you put that whole block together. And it's interesting that you're bringing all this up, because all this stuff back here, you see that thing there, and you see that fish. Then there's another fish over here. That's all out of one tiny little log, and I spread it out, and I did that all by eye, just by, I call it swinging off the hip, or shooting from the hip. That came out pretty cool. If you like my profile, the little circle for Badass Wood, you'll see them fish and the weeds and everything put together. It's really big and wide, and it all started from a little piece, and that comes from when I was ice carving professional and competing a lot. You'd have limited number of ice blocks to work with, so what you would do is find a blank wall and cover that wall with paper, like crepe paper, and then you put your drawing in that projector and project it on the wall to the size of the carving that you think you're going to get. And a lot of measuring. So what I was doing was measuring the pieces and parts, and either sizing down, or if I could go bigger, because the bigger pieces in competition is always going to get you better points in the judging. And I got really good at it with the one block carvings. Like, I did these huge eagles, and like, if you're making the wings, you got to cut the wings out of a little 10 inch by 20 inch by 40 inch tall block of ice, and you still got to make the body and all that. So I got pretty good at laying stuff out and figuring out in my head, measurements wise, how much room I actually had to work with. And like, you could, and I learned it by hanging out with a lot of like the top, like world top competitor ice carvers. I worked for them on and off, and they trained me a lot. So templates is a thing. You can use templates. You can, you can use a reference photo. For things like this, I don't. This is just, there's times, where if I need to get something right, I got it on my phone. I'll save a photo of a rooster and see how his tail fans out or whatever. The one I'm working on right now, where I need a lot of reference, is like a bobcat. I really want to get the look in the face and the body, and that's taking time. But usually after you practice it once and you use a lot of reference photos, it could take me months to get it down, and a lot of practice here at the shop. But then once I have it figured out and saved in my brain, then it's kind of easy after that. So yeah, scaling. Yep, scaling's good. There's so many techniques you can use, so many different things you can do. There's no actual written book on what we do, so it's really cool to take. I take a lot of reference from like old school, like whittling books, or model building. Basically, if you're using a lot of templates and sizing out and building parts, it's like you're building a model. You're just making all the parts out of a raw piece of wood. Now, when I used to do wood carving competitions, oh man, and you know what I want to do there, Will, is if you watch the Brawl Stars video, that's just how I get a piece made to look like the image that I was asked to do. That's like, I've done a lot of commercial signs, like, you know, you take a letter from this big and you got to make it that big. Projectors is the way to go. I've done big routed signs. I've done carved signs with characters in them. I did a big statue for the local university, and that's their logo for their sports program. So it had to actually look like that. I have that. I have pictures of it in a video. I never actually got video of that project back then. Stupidly. I should have. That's one of those where I should have gotten video, because the bear, it's like a 10 or 11 foot tall bear, and it's got the logo, it's got the letter for the university, all the colors. It looks like their logo. So that was really cool to develop that and do that for a big college university, and it's seen by thousands. I don't even know. I don't know who sees it. It's just one of those big things that I did. It was a cool commission. I was actually asked to do it, which was the cool part, and I had no idea that they were actually looking for me to do it. I showed up at the grounds department asking if I could get some wood and dump some mulch there from a landscape job. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the Brawl Stars one's in there, and if you take that method of doing things, and like, you can do a multi-piece. You can do a piece that's got many attachments, and if you watch, like, if you check out all my videos on my channel, even if you just browse through and you're like, oh, joinery. Okay, so joinery is a big part of this. I wish I had more on the ice carving. I didn't get it. That's another one. I didn't get a lot of video footage of my days when I was carving, professional ice carving. I just wasn't technically savvy. I wasn't, like, learning the video stuff. I had to pick that up over time. That's another art form to me, and I'm still not that good at it. But yeah, the Brawl Stars is the baseline. But when I was carving wood carving competitions years ago, they said no templates, absolutely no templates, because when you're in a chainsaw carving competition, a log carving, it's different than ice carving. And number one, we get a lot more time when you're doing like a little starstruck. Well, thanks, man. I'm just a little guy. It's you all got to start somewhere. I'm basically a dishwasher. That's been my life's trade. I mean, I have a masonry. I do stonework. I do welding. But dishwashing, working in factories, being a landscaper, that's been the basis for everything. I really like doing work where I use machinery. You see in some of my stone videos, I'm there by myself and I'm running back and forth, and I'm, rigging in these big stones and lifting and fitting and cutting, and that, to me, that's not even work for me, really. It is hard work. I'm beat at the end of the day, but when I get on those jobs, when I've gotten on those jobs, and I'm responsible for all that stuff, I love it. The bigger the job is, the more I get into it. I've never been afraid to just go in, go full steam ahead. But But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if templates are a thing in wood carving competition now, because a lot of us got good using templates. A lot of us come from that. A lot of us learned ice when ice became real popular, and a lot of people were taking it up. First thing you learned was, oh, use a template, because you've got a flat block. All you need is an iron. You take a big drawing and newsprint or crepe paper, iron it on, and it basically, as the ice melts, it wets the paper and freezes right back up, and then you've got a thing you can trace. A lot of cool techniques, a lot of stuff that I want to actually show more of at some point in the game. But you see the one ice carving that I did, probably the coolest ice carving I ever did is in that video where I go down and back in the swamp, and I start pulling big blocks of ice right out of the water, and then I'm like, hey, this is working out. I'm getting big blocks of ice out of the water. I'm going to carve them, and that's always been my thing, like harvesting, like the whole 9 yards of it, harvesting it, pulling it out of the ice, dealing with the sod jamming up, dealing with filters getting wet. The whole ball of wax is the process, and I love the toughness of it. I love the harder the job is, I think the more that I like the job. That's just always been my thing. So I'm kind of humbled by you saying that. I think it's cool if people look at me that way, because I never have looked at myself that way. Like, I got to jump in the car and go do deliveries here in about an hour or two, and I'm going to be up all night delivering, and that's kind of my rounds, is I'll be out late delivering food, because I like those food delivery apps. That's a lot of how I survive now, is off of those. They've gotten me a long way in that, and even there too, like the whole food delivery thing is, for me, it's a game, and I call it like game of cars. Like, if you're gonna go DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that stuff, you gotta have a lot of cars. You gotta have a whole garage. You gotta have backups, and it comes from all this. Around the shop, I got saws everywhere. This is years of collecting, just years of collecting stuff. I got all the electrics here that I need. Right, I'm all set in here, and I got compressors everywhere, walls of chain. I just got stuff everywhere. The whole shop is, but yeah, and over there's my music station. You can see that, and this is my mixing board here, right? And then I got another pedal back there that I use for mixing too, and I do it all on the phone. So you hear those tunes. You hear a lot of all that guitar and bass guitar and drums and stuff. That's all me. But I got equipment for the masonry. Got to have a whole shop. Basically got to have all this. I've just got stuff everywhere, and it gets overwhelming, but got projects going on. Want to get them finished for the festival coming up April 5th and 6th. But then you look right into my landscape business. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 5 or 6. Yeah, 5 weed whips, the professional higher end ones. I got saws everywhere, wood everywhere. You can't even see what's in here. But there's big chunks of slab wood I like milling. There's a owl hiding back there. He needs a tail. There's an old demo saw. I mean, we're just, I'm always fixing saws. always working on stuff. So I became a lot of a mechanic, became a lot of a landscaper through my carving business, through my interest. I got saws everywhere. People give me saws or I buy them used. Got a bunch of home lights to go through here coming up if I get time. This one here was just messing around and I love it. I may just leave it just like that and bring it to my little event. I know it'll sell just like it is. People love stuff like that. Old weathered piece of old wood. What do you want for that? Well, I don't know, 25, 30 bucks. But yeah, and there's my chain breaker. There's things of necessity that are really important to me. Just boxes of saws. These 3 boxes up here are completely full. Completely full of saw stuff. And that's the kind of fun thing here is I can show you. This is no joke we got going on here. And some stuff is organized. That's all organized stuff. Got them compartmentalized and stored away. Got saws everywhere. And this is just me, one little guy. Years and years of stuff, you know. Years and years. That's the mailbox. That's because somebody ran over my other one, but I just got saws everywhere. So I just wanted to show you that. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. Love building motors. See my bad motor habit. I'm just fascinated by it. That's the whole thing. Is there's some metals from ice carving and other events. There's another chicken rooster, tikis. Never really won anything. Never really won anything. Those metals, I did silver. I did get to silver medal level. Yeah, thanks. Hey, guitar player, that's awesome. Yeah, you can definitely message me. Yeah. Well, yeah. And basically, you're taking. If you start out with flat blocks, which I like to do a lot, like these little bears, those start out as a square block, and I find that making my blocks of wood, making my carving blocks like this. You see where I put the heart of the wood? I put it up and back, right? And this is actually the front of the carving. This is the better wood. And this is where you're going to get splits the most unless you have a knot here that's going to keep it tougher around the outside. So I go based on that for each carving. If you ultimately dissect that log in half, and the beauty is here where I'm at, it's where a tree company dumps all their used wood from their jobs. So some of the pine logs I'm getting are, 2.5, 3 foot diameter, 4 foot diameter. So I can waste a lot of wood. Just throw the junk stuff over the bank. I can get primo wood, which is nice because, like, you look at this guy here, and you see where the grain is. Yeah, there goes my battery again, or full. But you see how the grain is there. Well, he's got no cracks. There's nothing there to worry about. Put them in the back, right? Because this is all your junk wood. This is all your bad wood's going to be the outside of the log. That's going to crack the easiest. I call it bad wood, but it's It's the development wood. It's the youngest wood, so it's going to be the weakest wood. It's going to be the wood that absorbs the most water and gets rid of the most water the quickest. So that's something that I work on a lot, is getting the proper wood. Getting good wood is important, because if you don't, if you just work log rounds, you see the grain in that guy, and look what's happening there. And it's right in front, and you see all these other, and I open these up more so that I can repair them if I get time, if and when. Otherwise, they just sit up here and keep drying. I got a whole bunch of them up here. Those are extras. Those are extra pieces. And I'm glad that I keep these around. It's just like that big bear that's out there. I just glue in wood shims. That's what all those sticks, that's what all the piles of stuff here behind the rooster is all about. Those are my wood shims that I use to repair with. But this year and last year I started processing, like I just started tearing through my wood piles. And just not, like, having no discretion as to what I use. Like, I wanted to get the good wood, so I wasted a lot. But you see, I make these on a table saw, and I make tons of them. I make a huge pile of them so that I have them all there if I need them. I make those, and then I make end grain wedges. So those are shims or splints, and then I take these guys and I do the same thing. I rip them at an angle. So then you've got a bunch of little wedges, so you can go end grain, or you can go into, like, you can patch a knot up if a knot cracks. But I'm getting into, like, for tikis. Tikis look great with cracks in them. I love tikis when they have, like, big, and you burn in the dark, so you're not even repairing the cracks. And that's something that I like to carve a lot. What is an issue here? Everything. Yeah. Well, and if you get into that, if you get bigger than you need and then take out quarter cut right off the heart of the wood. Yeah, I don't really know what to look for in the grain. All that I can say is that this is, if you can get even deeper in the log, like say the heart's here, if you can get rid of, you see where this cracks, this is your sapwood going into the pith, because outside of that, this is cambium layer. And then you see where the color changes, it's lighter color. This is outside of, this is just inside a cambium layer. And then you're getting into sapwood, and then pith, you see where it stops. So I could make my blocks a little bit deeper in, depending on what's available down in the yard. I do some videos where I go down in the yards picking about and talking about it. For the grain, I would say whatever's straight with less knots is better. Well, if wood's not an issue if you make friends with a tree company. There's tree removal businesses all around. And that's how I started, is I made friends with people at tree companies. I said, hey, can I come over? Oh, hey, you need a guy to run back? Oh, I'll push piles for you. I'll keep your yard clean. And that's how I got good at operating machinery, any chance I could get. And eventually it worked out where I could use that machinery for moving big logs and moving stuff around that I wanted. It's a matter of just going around, stay within your realm, within your business. Like logging companies aren't going to have a lot of disposable wood. Um, and logging like uh, lumber stock, mill stock is usually higher end wood, so they don't waste a lot. But a tree removal company, I mean, you can get pieces of poplar, that are 4 feet in diameter, and it's not great wood, but it's a start. You can get oak, maple, ash, spruce. There's another one I use a lot of because it's weather friendly and it's big. You can get lots of spruce and um, ample size. If you came here to the wood yard, your eyes would be bugging out of your head to see how much a residential tree removal company just piles up that they don't need. Like they have no use for it. And him and I are always talking about uh, ways to make money off of that and sell some of it and get rid of some of it. And I'm like, well, I could get 20 carvers here and rent them some space and if you come here and set up and pay rent for a little spot, a little carving pit, and you get all the wood you want, I'll bring it to you on the machinery. I'll keep it clean for you. I mean, it could be a full service carving center where you could have 10 or 20 carvers. Literally, I could have 10 or 20 carvers here carving away. Each of them rent a little 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 or 20 by 40 spot. And it's kind of the dream, but I don't think that's ever going to pan out because it would take a lot of money. A lot of money and time just to run that and be here for it all the time. And I kind of like the place, having it all to myself. The only guys that shows up is the tree company or friends of the tree companies. I don't know if my email is anywhere in the channel, but it's chainsawbar25, all one word, chainsawbar25@yahoo.com. You can email me there, and we can start the message thing there. Well, the thing is, firewood, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna process it? You know what I mean? Like, yes, that's something that I'm investing in that I want to do. But now I need a truck. Just for that, I need a dump truck to haul the firewood. People will buy firewood from us, but to sell it in log form or to sell it out of here, it's a lot of headache. You got to be here when people are coming to pick up. You got to load them. Then you got to deal with a lot of customers' quibbles. And if I'm just cutting it on my own time and loading the dump truck and telling people, it's this or that per face cord, I'd probably do a face cord at a time, or a full cord at a time. I mean, I'm to do a full cord of wood, one guy, even if you got all the wood there. I mean, we've got piles out here 20 feet high and it's all ash. And yeah, we're thinking of that, but that's a lot of work. And I got other things to do where I already know that I can make money. And then I mean, if I just did firewood and carving and I had the delivery truck and I had a processor set up, might be worth it. But now you're looking at another 40 grand. And it's one of those, like, I don't have that kind of money. And yeah, we have a splitter. We have a few of them here, and we've all tried. Yeah, if you do that, if you do that all the time, um, it can be. But like I said, I've got money coming from other places that's pretty good, pretty steady income, um, or pretty easy income. I don't have to deal with anybody if I don't want to. Like I I should go work tonight, but I don't have to. And that's face cord. Yeah, that's a face cord is 1/3 of a cord. A full cord is what, 4x4, right? 4x4x8. So if you take 16, right? That's why they do 16 on the 16 because it's 1, 2, 3. 16 times 3 is 48. And then 4 foot high. A face cord is one of those. We call it a rick. I've done firewood in the past. It's just one of those things where it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get it going. It takes a lot of time and commitment to get a big, huge pile cut and get started. And I mean, there's thousands of firewood guys around here. Wood is not a problem around here. Basically, we grow trees on accident. So that's always an aspiration. But then if I'm really going to do it, I need other guys to do it with me. Well, no, you could do the campwood. Campwood is very lucrative here if you got time. There's been times where I got pallets with sides, and I'll make little bundles of 6 or 8 pieces, and I'll sell them for $5 to $10 a piece. Okay, a rick is 8. I've always called the face cord a rick, but I don't know. It's different everywhere. Everybody's got their different, or it's just a face cord. Most people are just like, buy the face cord. Yeah, okay. Face cord is 16 by 4 by 8 feet long. But I've got these stone pallets and they have sides, and I'll stack the pallet. I've got a loose stack one and I've got a bundled one. And I use sisal twine. So yeah, face cord is a third of a cord. It's in the New York State weights and measures, and we're kind of relegated because it's New York State. You have to stick to certain laws and parameters as to how you price things, how you transport. DOT is heavy in it. They get involved and they'll stop you. They'll pull you over if they're seeing that you're hauling wood all day going by. The DOT's everywhere around here, and they'll pull you over. And if you got anything wrong with your truck, or if you don't have a DOT number on the side of your truck, and you're out making money with that truck, then that's like a $500 fine or $250. So, oh yeah, see, they don't sell for that much here. They're like $8. They wrap them in plastic, and it's I don't know, 6 to 8 pieces or 10 pieces, and they're small. And all the campgrounds around here, camping's huge around here. So what I do is I'll take them stone pallets and I'll stack them up with the loose and the bundled, and I bundle with sisal twine because it burns. You can put them out there. You can be out of it in a week, like easily. You just put the little cash box there. It's a little extra money. It's like growing pumpkins and just leaving a cash box, and people have $5, $10 here and there. They're happy to pay it. They're happy to, it's just self-serve. Got game cameras from 6 different directions watching everything. Nobody's ever messed with it, but it's not a huge money maker, but it's like we got a mountain of wood chips here and we sell it $20 a yard loaded, and I could be here all week loading people and selling wood chips, and by the end of it, you've got a $20,000 machine that you need to be able to move that much wood chips, and then you've got a little $4,000 machine for smaller things. I mean, it's you're getting into a lot of cost, and the only reason that those machines are here is because they were bought either solely for here just to keep things clear for the big trucks that come in, or they were part of his tree business, and now he's grandfathering them over to me. If I want a piece of equipment, I say, well, my money's good for the next 100 years. If I live that long, I'll stay here. And, well, yeah, I want that. I'll buy it. So we do a lot of that trade-off. But you got to have the startup. You got to have investment. And then there's a lot of other investment that's just like, well, I need a dump truck. How much is a beat-up used dump truck? You're not going to find anything worth even looking at around here because of the salt. In New York, they use salt on the roads. And so you're going to be getting into at least $6,000 there. And I'm like, well, I know I can make money if I go buy 2 or 3 $2,000 junk cars, roll them into this garage and shop, do a lot of the work myself, and I can make money that day. So that's where it's at for me as far as keeping my whole thing afloat. And like I said, there's 10,001 firewood guys around here. So there's lots of people to get firewood from. It's a pretty competitive, flooded marketplace. I just carve, and I look at, if this were a piece of firewood, there's split it. There's a bundle of one of those little easy carry bundles of firewood right out of a log this size. So there's what, $10, $12 you said? Well, if I sit here and hack away at this for a while and got 10 or 12 of these going on, there's $100 or $200 or $300 bill depending on what it is that's finally done. So the turnover, the handling is a lot less, even though you're more focused, there's more overhead here. This is, for me, is more sustainable right now. But yeah, I used to go in the woods and cut firewood for companies. Logging is fun. I grew up on a logging site. That was my whole childhood, was cutting firewood, dragging logs, tractors, mud, lots of chains. I have to have chains everywhere. Like, it's just part of my environment. I have to have big, heavy, logging chains and chainsaw chains, and it's just a lifestyle that I enjoy. But yeah, there's a lot you can do. I know a lot of guys that do firewood around here. And they do really well with it, but I look at what I need to do it here and like make it money worthy for me to invest in, and I look at all the things that I'm gonna break trying to do it. It's kind of like the food delivery app game. Man, it's fun. I grew up, like, on logging sites around machinery and trucks and cars, and we had field cars. Go to the races on the weekends all the time, or smash up derby. So there's always junkyards, and grew up being very resourceful that way. And I got to tell you, the whole food delivery app thing, like the game of cars thing. If you're like any bit of redneck or hillbilly, or just like real motorhead, that's a great way to make extra money. It's a great way to make a living if you want to do it full time. If you're in an area that's saturated with it, you're gonna win all the time. If you're ahead of the game, a lot of people who start that with, a nice car. 3 months in or a month or two in, that car looks like it went through a demo derby. Well, I've got a pile of them out there that I just keep throwing at, and I've hardly spent anything on them. I actually have my main delivery vehicle, which is also the masonry business truck. I get stopped every now and then because the lights keep going out, because the housings get moisture in them and blow the bulbs out, or the bulbs just fall out of the fittings because the fittings are so old. Cop stopped me the other night for a taillight out, and he looked right, and he's shining his light right on my dashboard, and he goes, "Holy cow, you won the prize." He goes, I haven't had a stop with that many miles on it. And we just had a laugh. I mean, the cops are always nice to me around here because I'm real nice to them. And 90% of the time, I know why they're stopping me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's the old truck. It's the guy with the old truck, He's got a light out again. I never get a ticket. And, I figured out the secret to never getting a ticket. Incidentally, you need 2 things in your car. Well, 3. If you have an electrical tester on the dashboard, that's one thing right there. The cop's going to go, "Oh, so you do electrical." Well, to a point, yeah. But they see that. They know that you find out. Then I carry a pack of spare bulbs in the car all the time, if I have a car that blows the light bulbs all the time. And as soon as they pull in, or as soon as they stop you, you pull that up, put it right on the dashboard. They see that and they go, "Oh, so yeah." And I've changed the bulb right in front of the cops before, if I could, if it was easy to get to without needing tools. Third thing that I tell everybody to have for older cars is get a scanner. Get a code scanner. If you're off on your inspection sticker, and you're in a state that is as strict as ours is with it, plug that scanner in while you're on your 10-day or while you're overdue. Scrape your sticker right off. If you're that far overdue, just get it right off the window. Put a white piece of paper in there. They happen to stop you, say, "Well, it's better than nothing, isn't it? We're dealing with the engine codes. That's all we're dealing with." And keep your car up to par. Frame's got a hole in it. Get it fixed. Get it welded if you can. Keep the brakes good. Keep good tires. The cop's going to look at that. They walk down your car. I see them all the time. They touch the side of the car as they're walking down, and they're looking at your tires. They're looking at your body work. It could be hit. It could be dented. But is the door falling off? Are the seams of the door all jacked and crooked like you got a broken frame? Well, now the cop's going to question you. Now he's going to say, like, "Well, she seems awful bad," like the trucks that get pulled over where the bed is cocked in all the time. Most of them are because the mounts rust, but those are the ticket magnets. if your bed collapses in your truck, shove a 2x4 or a piece of, make a timber, shove it across there. Just don't hit your EGR, all your evap stuff. Don't set it on something that it's going to pinch out and ruin or cause a short out or whatever. Don't break your fuel lines, but you can get that bed up, make little blocks and put it up there. Wood screws right through the bottom of the bed. I mean, there's ingenuity. There's all kinds of things that you can do to survive any situation. And especially with car stuff, and I tell people all the time, I say, you're a moving target. If you would spend 3 or 4 hours fixing that, you wouldn't be a moving target. But it's like if your bumper's falling off, just rip the thing right off. Get it. If you can't reattach it, get it right off there. That's how I've always been. I like even if it's a piece of junk car, it looks semi-solid. But yeah, it's always a good time. Everything I do I try to just have a good time. Life's too short to worry for me, if I'm worried about stuff, I'm not living. I don't like to worry about things. If I worry about it, I want to take care of it. And it doesn't take a lot to take care of it. A lot of people don't understand. It's like the runny toilet. If you just go get a new stack for it, it's not going to be running anymore. You won't have to listen to it. It'll be one less thing, or a broken toilet seat, or a leaky P-trap under the sink. It's nothing to fix those things. A lot of us just ignore it. We just go through life having all these problems. All these things add up and keep building up. My thing is always, I like to take care of the small things because they help the bigger things. I'll tell you one thing. I live in where my actual home and like office space, whatever, editing studio, small place. But where I sleep and shower and all that, I got lots of neighbors. And with my one neighbor, real nice kid, but he just doesn't get it. And I keep trying to tell him, because I see what's going on in his life, and I hear, you can hear your neighbor. You can hear when they're stressed out. You can hear, when they live right next door to you. And I look at the car that he drives. Sorry if I smoke, but... I feel like this has become more of a talking than carving live feed, which I'm good with. I'm cool with that. Good to have you here. Um, but this young kid, right? He's trying real hard in life, and he's just starting out. Whatever he's doing, he sings all the time, sings beautifully. Um, Musician, whatever he's doing, I don't know his business, but I hear him, and we've talked about it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you're real good. Like you're going stars, so you're going big someday. And but the thing is I see the car he drives, and I'm like, dude, you got to get that fixed. Like every day that I see this car, there's more dents in it every day. He's a horrible driver. Um, and the car itself, you can hear the car suffering. Like when I see this car, it hurts me to listen to this car. It hurts me to look at this car. The poor car, no mechanical sympathy. The brakes, he's on the wear tabs on the brakes. So you hear that every when he drives away. You hear him you hear him tearing his rotors apart. Well, I can run the same pair of rotors on a vehicle for 8 or 10 years if they're brand new. I never need rotors because I pull them. I change my brake pads like every month to 3 months. I'm in there. I'm always doing brake work, especially in the business I'm in. That's the number one thing, is to have good brakes. I'm always changing brake lines. I'm always going through the calipers and the cylinders and lubing everything up and make sure the master cylinders bench bled. These are things that I learned over the years from my brother, my older brother, who is a mechanic. He's got me into learning off YouTube about a lot of stuff, specific car stuff, like with certain type of cars, what you need to do. But I took it upon myself to learn that and get good at it and take care of my own stuff. And like this kid, like his power steering is just screaming away. I'm like, you need power steering fluid, probably need a belt. You may need a new pump at this point. And he's like, I don't care. Bald tires, driving around in the snow, cracked windshield, can't get it inspected. He's 2 years overdue on inspection. And in this state, that's a big fine. And I don't know how. Well, I do know how, because he bought the car with the sticker and then just never got it inspected, never worried about it. Well, DMV, he hasn't had the car for 2 years because our DMV is biannual registration. And if you don't get your car inspected that previous year, then they give you only like a certain amount of time before they send you like your renewal. They say, well, you're not going to be able to renew after, I think it's after your second year. You're not going to be able to renew that registration, or they will cancel your registration, I think, now if you're a year over on inspection, because it's all in the system. It's all barcoded. But long story short, I just see how this kid approaches cars, and I'm like, you're poor. The first thing that you don't want to do when you're poor is make bad money decisions. Like if you're making bad decisions, if you're not taking care of that car which you use and depend on every day, and you think, what's that car? What does the car cost me? What is a nice car going to cost me? How long could I go if I had a $20,000 car and say that it was as good as any of my $2,000 cars? How long could I go without replacing brake lines in a brand new $20,000 car if I kept it washed in the salt in the salt in the wintertime? If I kept the brakes changed, kept new tires on it, kept it aligned, kept all the fluids in it, took it in for regular oil changes, those things to me, I had to learn that those things are super important. Because the thing is, when you're doing an oil change, you're going to see a leaky power steering line. Then you're going to go, oh, that's why my power steering is making noise or is starting to steer hard. Maybe I should get that checked or fixed. If you learn the basic things, then you're starting to look at bigger things. And you either need to learn about those things or have somebody take care of them for you. But yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah, sorry, I'm just babbling on, but yeah, for me, financially, making bad money choices is why people are poor. That's my theory, because I wasn't real good with money until I stopped making bad decisions. And all my decisions now, yeah, you're also a mechanic, so Yeah, fine, Fine, put a period in between each one of those. Could be an acronym or whatever they call it. Yeah, I do the skulls. I've got skulls and videos. I've got videos of me carving skulls. That's more my style. I want to go more that route with things. And it's a split market now. Now the wacky and the zany stuff, the really out there stuff, things like this, like skulls and crossbones or fire, flames, demons. A lot of people are really into it. And like I get really, these are what I push more. And these are just faces that I make up, the tiki faces. I think they're really cool. But I still do, what I consider to be like kind of traditional carvings, traditional artwork based. I still do that too. And so it's a crossroads between how much of the carving, like, oh, just broke my GoPro. No, just drop them. I love these things. They're tough. They're pain, but they're also pretty tough. I'm always back and forth on, should I be carving more of the wacky, zany faces and skulls and stuff, or should I be staying with the bears and eagles and popular stuff? I've got ideas for videos coming up that's kind of blending the two together, which I think is going to be cool. And they're popular. I mean, you can sell. What was your last project? Sorry, I missed that. But yeah, I sell stuff like this a lot, and you bring these to shows and kids love them, and it's more about having a blend and a mix of things. Like I can put those skulls next to bear carvings, and people will look and they'll be like, well, it's not my style, but man, it's cool, and it opens doors. It only opens doors. Oh, I don't even know. I don't have a price. I've been offered 300. The guy that offered it is still, I'm still waiting for him to get back to me. If he's serious about it or not, that's up to him. I don't worry about it. I have fun making them. And so that's why I don't really get too worried about selling all the time, because I can always make stuff. I can always make stuff that I know is going to sell. But I also have a kind of darker side, wackier side to me. You know, I like trapped. I call these trapped faces because they're tiki oriented, but you see he's got no eyes. But he kind of does. But you know, it's like that's more my style of things. The darker side of carving. Carving's from the dark side. You know. That's kind of a cool one I've been working on. It's a serpent. It's a big old like python or some kind of big snake. He's just sitting there with a skeleton just chilling. It's creepy as hell. I like it. I think it's cool. There's a metal welded hand that I made because I do weld too. But then, you know, it's kind of medieval. This is a hand. This is carved with a hatchet and a gouge. Kind of medieval looking stuff, but I you know, there's a hand way over there by the big slab of wood. But yeah, there's a variety. I like a variety of things. I think I'm gonna get bugging out here. It's starting to get late. Starting to be either movie time, or whatever. Either chill out time, or go out and work for a bit. But you see back in here, that face. I love that. And that was part of a video. That was something that I did for a video. I thought it would be cool just as a nose all by itself. And I love that piece. Yeah, check me out sometime. Yeah, it's been good talking. You know, there's all kinds of stuff. I've always done faces. And this one started out as being kind of a pretty, more elegant looking girl face. And then the Beatles took over. And so I kind of did that thing like, yeah, she's being eaten alive by the Beatles. She's like, get them off my face. You know, she's still pretty as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what anybody else thinks about her. Yeah, there's a green man. I love doing the green men. They just take a long time. A lot of work, a lot of detail work. You see, I like doing a lot of things like with leaves and different foliage, different textures, the bubbles. There's a bunny rabbit. Let's see here. That's what it's supposed to do. Bunny rabbit underneath some ivy. And it's just these things that I see well. There's an old mushroom back there, little fairy mushroom. Kind of weird face with flowers. I like doing different things. There's a set of lips that went with the nose at some point. Old crazy tiki face. Bunch of stuff. But yeah, it's just, you know, go for it. You know, if you see it and you can envision it, even for a lot of this stuff, I make my own bits. Just go to Harbor Freight and buy some of these bits and throw them in a die grinder and hold on. Stand back when you first try them out. Like this one here, If that's not in there right, that sucker will take right off. It'll catch and it'll send that tool flying. But it's a matter of it's just a matter of testing things out and and really getting into it. And I like the higher powered, more expensive Makita grinders. Um, I got into these from ice carving. This is a D800 and it's got variable speed, very super powerful. And I like putting a small burr bit on it. I can draw lines with this, like dig into the wood real fast, like what's on the bottom of the rooster. Um, yeah, I can do those real quick with that tool. And then I got the 600, which is the little brother of the 800. I got that with a flame burr. That's super. This is about 2 to 3 times the power of these. I love collecting these Chicagos, and I use rotozips with the flame burrs too. Very handy, very cheap. That's $100 right there. $125 with the flame burr on it. So I collect. Like this here, that's my fur maker. It's a Arbortech, very expensive tool, very handy. Little carbide lugs on it. But yeah, I get into all my different. There's a big gouge, one of the cheapy ones, because I wanted to try them out. So I got into gouges recently. Last year I really got into those. Actually, it's been a couple years now. 2 years ago I really got into those. I got a video about those. I got a few videos about those, and that's the whole fun of this. I just keep going. And that's the fun with the YouTube thing is people like to see it, especially if they haven't tried it out. Like now I feel like I'm kind of guinea pig for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it's all fun. It's been cool hanging out. Thanks for being around, and I always got more to show, more stuff to talk about. I could talk about it for hours. That's not everything. But yeah, have a good one. Thank you.